What is up, you guys? It's your buddy Upshall, and today I'm bringing you a guide on probably the most badass motherfucker in Overwatch, and that is Jesse McCree. Now, he is age 37, occupation bounty hunter, based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and is formerly affiliated with Overwatch. Now, this guy is absolutely amazing. He is a gun, pun intended, in the close quarter combat. So, getting into his strengths of McCree and how you kind of want to play him, he is the strongest close range hero in the game. That is assuming that your Flashbang grenade actually lands. Besides that, I would probably pick Reaper for his close quarters gameplay, but if you get that Flashbang to land with McCree, it renders your opponent completely available to get dunked on with the revolver. He also can deal high damage at all ranges with perfect accuracy, although there is a slight damage drop off at long range. So you're going to want to watch out for that. You're not going to want to deal with a Widowmaker or Hanzo at long range. It's pretty much a lose-lose situation if you try to go at that. He's also very effective at tanks, and this has got to do with his fan the trigger or fan the hammer maneuver. And basically what this does is it fires a pretty random spray that has a high degree of spray and a strong lack of accuracy. But if you're running into a tank, typically these guys have huge character models. So say you're coming up on a Roadhog or Bastion, and you dump and you fan the hammer at one of those characters, most likely most of those bullets are going to hit, and I'll get a little bit more into that later in the video. And he is also one of those characters who's viable on both attack and defense. So you don't need to worry about kind of drastically switching up your playstyle. Once you get good with McCree, you know that you can use him for pretty much any situation. Now, getting into his weakness, he has really weak escape mechanism. All he has is that combat roll. It really doesn't get you too far. And he has overall low mobility, so I find sometimes if you're attacking, say, on the payload, and you need to walk a great distance to actually get to where the action is, he can be a little bit of an aggravating character in that sense, because it just feels like you're taking forever before you can actually help the team. He has no self-sustain of any sort, which means that he's got to rely on his teammates or find the medics and the little healing packs through the map in order to self-heal. So unless you got a Zenyatta who's helping you out, or a bro playing as Mercy, you are going to be having a little bit of low luck with the health. And the fact that he only has 200 makes him a bit of a glass cannon. It's not like a Roadhog where he doesn't do crazy damage. He can rope people in, but he's got 600 health and he has self-heals. So it's a bit of a different bag of tricks with McCree, but once you master him, you're really going to have some fun. Now, he also is extremely vulnerable if the Flashbang is not available or if it misses. Like I said, the Flashbang renders people completely incapacitated. They're standing still, so fanning the hammer at them is really successful. But when you're going up against, say, a Lucio, and he's dodging all over the place, and you're trying to fan the hammer and hit him, judging by the lack of accuracy that the fan the hammer has, you're going to have a bad time. Now, he's also very vulnerable while casting his ultimate, which is the Deadeye, which is also very easy for enemies to avoid. Like I said, this guy here, loading up his Deadeye, standing still, all I need to do was give him a little Flashbang lovin', pop the hammer, fan that hammer into him, and boom, ultimate is gone. So it's a really easy counter to his ultimate. You can hear it go off. All you hear is, it's high noon. And you're like, oh shit, everybody get behind cover. And that basically makes it, I wouldn't say the easiest, but one of the easiest ultimates to avoid. Now, to really master the whole strategy with McCree is to combine the Flashbang ability and the combat roll. Now, this makes him the supreme champion of close range combat, as I said. And when you pop these together, you can combat roll, and in case even your first 6 bullets of fanning the hammer wasn't enough to kill the target, you can now combat roll. Boom! Whenever you roll with McCree, it's an instant reload, and you can prepare to just dump more bullets into your target, like just happened right there in the clip as we win the game. Now, your role as McCree is primarily to take on as many close range fights as you can, since these will be very often resulting in kills, which will provide your team with a steady advantage. The less players to go up against, the greater chance you guys are going to win. It's a pretty straightforward concept. Now, given your very low mobility, the combat roll, again, is not very effective for anything but the slightest of maneuvers. It's really just a reload mechanic at the end of the day. You should avoid trying to backstab the enemy team, and you should generally try to stay in the vicinity of your teammates. Like I said, you need somebody to support you with heals. This is because if things do not go as planned, you don't have the same options of escape as other offensive heroes like Tracer, Genji, Pharah, or even Soldier 76. Now, if close range combat is not possible, you can still do a pretty good job of dealing damage at medium and even high range. You can do this whenever there is no close range action, but always keep in mind that your role is to act as a sort of close range guard dog for your team. Honestly, if you're going into a map where close range is not necessarily the way to play, you're probably going to be better off to pick somebody besides the badass McCree. Now, McCree's primary weapon is called the Peacekeeper, and you can use it in two different fashions. You can rock the single fire, which on PC is going to be your left mouse button. Yeah, left mouse button. And then the alternative fire, which is fanning the hammer, which is just spraying those 6 shots completely randomly, is right mouse button. I play on PS4, so for me, the single fire is the R2 trigger, and then fanning the hammer is L2. These are great to kind of switch it up. I always use the single fire in medium to long range combat, and then when things get hot and heavy in close quarters, I usually fan the hammer. Actually, that's kind of a lie. I fan the hammer pretty much all the time, especially in the short to mid-range combat. I just kind of hope that things will land in mid-range and try and roll out of a situation. Now, the recoil of this quick spray takes practice to control, with the pistol's crosshair being pushed up and pulling down as the way to compensate for it. Overall, this is an extremely high damage per second ability, but like I said, very low accuracy. At high to medium range, alternative fire should be rarely used, as hitting anything with more than a single shot is practically impossible, and simply using primary fire will yield much better results. Now at medium range, like I said, it can work, although it's a pretty big gamble, but if enough bullets hit their target and possibly the enemy is already damaged, it could result in a little bit of a gong show, but a little bit of success. It is close range, as close as melee range is where alternative fire is really going to shine. At this range, the heroes with the largest models are probably going to take the most fire, and you're likely going to land all 6 bullets. Now here is the kicker. If you land all 6 bullets with McCree while you fan the hammer, it is going to do 420 damage. I mean, blaze it, mate. That's pretty crazy. Now, the thing that makes this setup even better is the fact that with you fan the hammer, you can now combat roll, have an instant reload with 6 more bullets, and then fan the hammer again. So, if I can do my math, that means that you could potentially be doing 840 damage in the matter of a couple of seconds. That is just insane. And when you couple that with the flashbang, and before you even fan the hammer for the first time, you can have them stunned and immobilized. Whew! It is absolutely insanity. Now, to use the flashbang, obviously it's kind of simple. All you gotta do is aim it at your desired target and fire it off. Now, remember that the flashbang works in a small radius, so you do not need to aim it at a hero in order to hit them. It just has to hit them in a very close area. It's easier and more effective aiming at the ground next to the heroes if you wish. To stun them as well. Now, whenever you run into someone in close range, the first thing to do is the flashbang them. This will give you sufficient time to kill them with your alternative fire. And there are 3 more important things to keep in mind while you're using the flashbang. First of all, while its primary use is to stun heroes so that you can kill them, the stun in itself can be a very powerful tool, even if you cannot yourself follow up with a kill. Now, stunning Reaper, McCree, Pharah, or Roadhog during the ultimates will cancel them, which can then save your entire team. So, spying that enemy who is popping that ultimate, that Pharah up in the sky, if you can get her stunned, by jolly, you're laughing. Now, second of all, when you're using flashbang against Genji, make it a habit to always use it at the ground next to him. This will ensure that it will not hit his deflect, which if it does, is guaranteed to get you kills. Basically, Genji can pop that flashbang back at you, you'll get stunned, and then Genji can just throw his shurikens, 1 bang, 1 kill. Because, like I said, you're standing still after getting flashbanged. You're incredibly vulnerable. If Genji doesn't get you, it's likely somebody else will. Last, if faced with an enemy Reinhardt that has his barrier shield up, you can flashbang him by throwing the flashbang up so that it explodes above the shield. This is extremely effective since otherwise the shield blocks the flashbang's effect. Now, last but not least, the combat roll. It serves 2 purposes. It immediately reloads your pistol, but but it also allows you to quickly move forward and close to create a short distance. Now this is another thing, like I said, McCree loves close quarters. So if you have that little bit of a distance, say you're at 10 meters from a guy, you say, okay, I can probably one-shot kill them with Fan the Hammer if I was just a little bit closer. And this is another situation where the combat roll can really help you out. Now, that being said, movement is not the only thing that makes combat roll powerful. The reloading element is extremely potent, which allows McCree to dish out tremendous amounts of damage. Keep in mind, it's 840 damage. That will dunk anybody, even the highest absolute tanks. They're going to end their lives. And for his ultimate, the Deadeye, it can be potentially really powerful, but it also can be potentially a bit of a dud. I have a lot of difficulty getting good Deadeye shots off. I don't know about you guys. I think the highest I've ever gotten with a Deadeye is a triple kill. I have seen a 6 kill that happened to me. It was rather unfortunate, but I find it pretty tricky. Now, when you cast Deadeye, McCree enters a sort of reverse bullet time for up to 10 seconds. During this time, he moves very slowly. He lines up shots simultaneously on all enemies as long as they're in a line of sight. Each enemy on the screen has a red circle around them, and while it shrinks over time that the enemy is in McCree's line of sight, when the circle shrinks all the way to a single dot, it turns into a skull. Now, if you cast the Deadeye, when it turns into a skull, it's a wand bang, and you're going to get that kill. Now, it's pretty difficult to use, like I said. It requires McCree to be cunning and opportunistic. This is when you got to put your thinking pants on, man. McCree announces Deadeye to the enemy team, and that really gives them a chance to get out of the open. As soon as everybody hears, it's high noon, everybody's heading for the hills. So you really got to kind of use it on a pretty open area, and probably use it even when the enemy team is trying to hold an objective, such as the payload. While you might not actually kill everybody, the it's high noon will send everybody running, and it can kind of allow your teammates to get onto the payload, push up into an opportune area, and maybe pick yourself up 1 or 2 kills. I know it's not the best way to use it, but trust me, shaking people off that payload, getting the enemy team's ranks kind of stirred up, will help you and your team out a lot. Now, if you want to go full lead hacks mode, bruh, the best time, absolute best time, to use McCree's ultimate ability is in coupling with your teammates' ultimate ability. And some notable ones would be Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, May's Blizzard, and Zarya's Gravity Bomb. So what you can do is these kind of freeze the enemy team into the one certain area. You can put on your Deadeye, and then it'll just be like shooting fish in a barrel. It'll be nothing to it. You'll end up with pentakills. You'll have to call your mom, get her to get the camera. You will be laughing. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little guide to McCree. I, like a bunch of you guys, are probably still learning the ins and outs of Overwatch. I would definitely recommend kind of using characters that fit your playstyle, but also trying out ones that don't. Just so you not only know whether or not a certain character is for you, you also know how to counter that character. Knowing the ins and outs and everybody's abilities is a huge deal in this game. Knowing how to counter a Bastion, knowing how to counter a Roadhog, or even the goddamn May. It's very important. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial today. If you did enjoy it and it helped you out, you can leave a like down below. If you want to see more videos like this, you can drop a subscription down below. We just hit 300 subscribers on the YouTube. I was gonna say stream. I swear to God, man, sometimes I just can't talk. But thank you guys. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.